which I think they made the right way. Heisman Trophy voting ends today. It's a logical choice. I don't even like the kid. I had to vote for him. I had no choice. I just finished voting now. But right now, the story of the day, of course, the Giants making the change at head coach, making the change at general manager, naming Spags the interim. And we believe Eli will be the starter again on Sunday against the Cowboys. That the story of the day after the Giant lost to the Raiders yesterday, and just a crazy, crazy week. And, you know, it overshadows what was a tremendous win by the Jets yesterday. I tell you, the Jets yesterday, and I want to thank the Jets for their hospitality yesterday. They were unbelievably nice. They could not have been nicer. From the general manager, Mike McAdoo, on down, all their people did a great job. Could not have been nicer. To Harrison and his friend Santino, then we took him out on the field and everything in the morning. And it was a great game. I mean, the Chiefs' defense is abysmal. And they benched Revis, who was not good at all. But that was a great win for the Jets yesterday. A wonderful win for them, an exciting win. And they're headed in the right direction. They need to find a quarterback. That's it. If they can find a quarterback, they're building a good team. These are the guys you want to build. I've told you the last couple of weeks that this is the group you want to build around. Believe in them. And they're doing things the right way. They got a lot of money under the cap, too. But right now, it's about the Giants. We know that. Justin in Dobbs Ferry starts us off. What's up, Justin?
Hey, good afternoon, Mike. The only person probably grinning ear to ear is Tom Coughlin after Reese and McAdoo tried to sabotage him over the last 2 years. But I don't know why they waited to the end of the week to do it. They knew right after that bench here, Eli, that they were.
Yeah, but you can't do something in the middle of the week. You've already started your preparation. You got to let the game be played. That's the only right way to do it.
If the game's going to be played, then why don't they say, "Listen, you're starting"?
It's over with. Forget. Don't go back and start last week over again. Last week's over.
But Reese, what did Reese see in this guy? I want to know what we saw in this guy, or who made that decision, because his offense was brutal for the 30 games that he was here. He was. He had showed no imagination, worse than Gilbride.
Listen, Gilbride won 2 Super Bowls, so worse than Gilbride isn't bad. Gilbride did a good job here. You got to be fair. Alex in Orange, Connecticut. What's up, Alex?
Hi, Mike. Thanks for all you've done, and thanks to my friend Louis for introducing me to you 10 years ago. Just have a question in the comments. It's bittersweet that they fired both of them, because one right after the streak, and that totally demoralized Eli's confidence going into this week, which is ridiculous. But
I don't understand what that means. Why would they demoralize his confidence?
Because the streak, he's been fine.
Forget the streak. The streak's over with. The streak's over with now. Yeah, the streak's over with. That has nothing to do with his confidence, though. He'll be fine. Eli's going to be a conquering hero when he goes back this year. Goes back in there. The fans are going to go crazy. They're going to love it. He's the most popular guy in the sport right now. And, really, the right thing was done. The Giants righted the wrong. Give them credit for that. What they did is they moved swiftly and they righted what was a mistake. James in Pennsylvania. What's up, James?
Mike, big-time fan, first-time caller.
Thank you.
Best of luck in the future, whatever it brings to you.
Thank you.
Mike, I'm a little confused, and help me understand, because a couple of weeks ago, the plan was to look at – supposedly it came from Mara, that the plan was to look at the younger guys. Tell me, why doesn't Mara just make the fans and the former players the GM? Because right now at 2-10,
right,
with the 49ers winning yesterday,
right,
correct me if I'm wrong, the Giants have a top 2 pick. Now, to me, Webb was not drafted from the Little Sisters of the Poor. He was a 3rd-round pick.
Right.
So to evaluate him for a month and see how he progresses before you make that pick, no matter who the GM is.
Well, they didn't have him ready to play.
To me, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, they didn't have him ready to play. So they weren't on the same page because they didn't have him ready to play this week.
But weren't the reports that he was going to play this week? And I get why they didn't. He was inactive and they were moving him up. There were no reports that he was going to play this week. No, there was never a report that he was going to play this week. It was out last week.
There was never a report.
There
was never a report that he was going to play this week. If McAdoo had stayed here,
so
listen,
take that away. But why
James,
would Mara put the plan in place and then go back on it now?
First of all, okay, we don't even know if Mara started the report, started this ball rolling or not, or they did this on their own. All right, there's been discussions both ways. We don't really know. All right, because clearly what they did was very unpopular inside the building. So if now Mara did own it. said that he initiated the plan but wasn't happy with the way it was carried out. Whether he did it or he really knew it, didn't know, we don't know. Because he could just be covering up. Who knows? Doesn't matter now. The bottom line is, though, they messed it up. And if you want to see Webb play, which I think the people will probably look at the last 2 weeks, they've broken the streak now. They can put Eli back in against the Cowboys, which should happen right now and will happen. And then maybe the last 2 weeks of the season, if Webb shows he's ready to play him. Now, remember one thing here. If you play Webb with no personnel and no offensive line, he's going to get killed. So you're not going to gain any analysis anyway from that standpoint. The reason why McAdoo was adamant about Geno Smith is he thought Geno's mobility might gain him some advantages with that offense. It didn't. They didn't score any points again, and against a Raider team that really was not playing very well. Brian in Wading River, what's up, Brian?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
What's happening?
First off, I'm going to miss you, but I've been here since 30 years. I started driving to the city the same year you came on the air.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm glad they got rid of they got Reese out of there too. That they didn't just get rid of McAdoo, because he went into this year. Everybody knew he needed a line. He didn't do anything to help Eli out and protect him, and it cost him his job.
And listen, he paid with his job, and he deserved to pay with his job. Reese did it bad, and I was never a proponent of firing him before this, because he had the 2 wins, the Super Bowl wins. He had earned the right to get another try, but he was so adamant about the offensive line this year and so stubborn in not fixing it that it just made no sense. And especially with an Eli Manning, if you have Eli Manning, you have got to protect him. You have got to give him an offensive line he can operate behind, because otherwise you are not utilizing his ability at all. And that's the problem here, is that this is an immobile quarterback who has a lot of ability but is immobile. You've got to protect him, and they haven't done that. Mark in New York. What's up, Mark?
Hey, Mike, great show.
Thank you. What's up?
I remember listening to you on a Thanksgiving night about 30 years ago, where the fan was very first in its beginning. It's been a great ride for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. What's up?
I think it's a no-brainer for Spags this week. First of all, he gets to distance himself from McAdoo by playing Eli. You know what? I'm not part of that.
That's not a question. He's going to play. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it rejuvenizes all our Giant fans. It gets us back in the building, and we're not going to be screaming in the second quarter, "We want Eli." If you're Spags, you don't want that. You want the Giants to know it, even if it's going to last.
See, you saw the handwriting on the wall this week when the owner came out and basically said he wasn't happy with the way it was handled. Then you saw both Sullivan and Spags say these glowing things about Eli. They were the ones who said it. So you had a division there with the head coach. And then on top of that, you had what went on where the head coach comes out on Friday and, as we said, completely sealed his fate on Friday by making the statements that, hey, owner knew what was going on. We were on the same page. And that was diametrically opposed. You don't contradict your owner. And he clearly did. And I had told you on Thursday and Friday that I had heard that John Mara was irate about the way this was handled. And clearly McAdoo was in a lot of trouble. And the comment he made about there's no guarantees, from John, that was an incredibly telling comment. Incredibly telling. So you knew. And then when you watched McAdoo yesterday after the game, it's all you had to hear. He didn't even tell you who the quarterback was this week. If he were around, the quarterback was going to be Geno Smith. There was no question. He didn't say that, though. Then they said to him about being the head coach, and he said, hey, I'm here as long as my key card works. If my key card works, I'm going to put my head down and work. Did you talk to the owner? No. Didn't have any reason to talk to the owner. Oh, really? There's reports out this morning that you're losing your job, that you're going to be axed today, and you don't need to know. Well, the reason he didn't need to know was he needed to talk to the owner because he'd already talked to him, most likely. So I can't tell you what minute they had their meeting, but it was clear McAdoo knew what was going on. You know, he was extremely defiant on Friday. He was defiant yesterday, so you could tell where this was headed. You really could. It was you didn't need to be a weatherman. Larry in Bridgeport, what's up, Larry?
Yeah, hi, Mike. Thanks for taking my call.
What's happening?
Thank you for what you've done for us for 30 years.
My pleasure.
Great
What's
institution,
up?
Mike.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment. Mike, you're classy as always. You're very classy, very professional. You're being too nice to John Mara. I believe John Mara knew everything that was going on. He disrespected Coughlin. He disrespects Eli. He lets this happen. He's the boss.
Well, wait a second. How did he? Look, to be fair here, how did he disrespect Tom?
Okay, well,
Tom lost 3 years in a row. How many years was he supposed to let him lose?
I know, but you could have just been a little nicer to him. He's got 2 Super Bowls.
Wait, he didn't say anything. He never knocked Tom publicly. He loved him.
I know, but I just felt he could have handled that better.
Listen, the only way he could have handled it better for you, Larry, is if he kept him. And the guy lost 3 years in a row. I mean, it was tough, and I know that there was a division in there. Part of them wanted to keep him again, but the other part was like, wait a second, it's 3 years in a row. So, I mean, it was hard to do. But I think what Tom felt, the only thing that I think Tom felt slighted about was that it was a guy who went on his staff who replaced him. And number 2, so they elevated from within from a losing situation, which is never good. That's the one thing that's never good because the old coach is going to be upset about that. And number 2 was the fact that they went out and spent all that money on defense afterwards. They went out and spent all that money the year after he left, which upset him. That clearly upset him. So I do understand that part of it. I really do. Billy and Elizabeth, what's up, Billy?
Hey, Mike. I kind of agree. I think Mara is responsible for the way it shook out.
Yeah, listen, he took ownership to it. He said it was his idea, and he just said he was not handled properly. So he wanted a different outcome. And he admitted that it wasn't handled properly, while the head coach said, I have no problem with how it was handled. Well, wait a second. Eli was clearly treated terribly here. That's why the head coach never showed Eli any respect. He never did.
Well, in a strange way, I was telling your screener, I think it brings more attention to Eli's send-off. He got so much respect around the league. And if it was just a typical send-off where this didn't happen, he would have got accolades, but not the support. And even the younger Giant fan probably realizes now how great of a quarterback he really was.
Well, there's a lot. Listen, right now, the love for Eli across the league is enormous. I mean, absolutely enormous. You saw it. I mean, the outpouring was amazing from coaches, from every walk of the NFL. Eli had to be thrilled. I mean, the response was unbelievable. Mike in Montville, what's up, Mike?
Hey, Mike. Happy holidays.
Good, thank you. What's up?
I got a question, 2-part. I wish I had tickets to go to the Giant game Sunday because I guarantee the tide is turning. And who do you think the new GM will be?
That I can't answer right now. I do not know who the new GM will be. It's a little early. Obviously, they have to, they have a search they have to do. I don't know. I'm sure there'll be some of the usual suspects. We can think of some names, I mean, there's a name that, I'd like to see considered, but, which would be Dr. O'Brien's son, who I'm partial to, who is now ready to become a general manager. He's the number 2 guy in Detroit. In this wave of GM hirings this year, he's going to be out and about. He's 10 years trained by Belichick. He is now the number 2 guy in Detroit, and he will be one of the top GM candidates around Kyle O'Brien. So hopefully he'll be a guy, and he grew up around the Giants, because his dad was the doctor for 15 years with the Giants. So that's one. People have mentioned Scapioli. He's another guy, Belichick trained, a guy who comes with a background, grew up loving the Giants, the whole thing. Now his background's more Jets with Belichick, Patriots, then to Atlanta in recent years. So he'll be a candidate. I know Chris Mara internally would love to take the job. I know that's not something that the organization's happy with, and that they just don't want to have because of the brother thing, they don't want that to be the case. They don't want John Mara's brother being the general manager. Chris has the ability to do it. Just that's not going to happen, though. But he's involved with who's going to, get the job, as is John. So we'll see where it goes. There'll be a new general manager. We'll see where it goes from that standpoint, and obviously a new coach. So, and it'll be 2 guys, because the Giants don't believe in one person and having both jobs. It's not something they believe in, and that's become less popular rather than more popular around the league. Joe in Rhode Island, what's up, Joe?
Like, what type of coach, if you were doing the hiring, would you look for? Disciplinarian, a guy that changes the culture? What type of guy would you be looking for if you were picking a coach?
I just look for, I look for a guy who comes in and has a good plan. That's all. I mean, who understands what he wants to do, who has a staff. The question here now is, how are we going to handle this? There's a lot that has to be dealt with here. And it really starts with, what is Eli's future? I expect the Giants picking where they're going to pick to take a quarterback. So if the Giants decide we're going to have Webb and we're going to have another very young quarterback who we take at the top of the draft, we're going to play the youngsters, so be it. Then I would either let Eli leave or try to trade him. That's what I would do. Eli has a no trade, but they could definitely trade him with Eli's consent. I would look to that. I have no problem with that. If they decide they want to draft a young quarterback at the top of the draft and play him right away, as they did Eli, I don't think Eli would have a problem with that because that's the way Eli started. So I think then Eli looks for another home. Eli's going to be in this league next year. The amazing thing is that McAdoo yesterday tells the TV guys, I think Eli can win another championship. Huh? So you're admitting that the mishmash you put around him destroyed him, because how can you tell me when you bench him that he can win another championship? That just tells you how lost McAdoo was. Because why would you make that statement? Oh, I love Eli. I think he can win another championship. Excuse me? You're telling people he's a championship coach, but you benched him? So it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Back after this.